We're just going to take you to the French Foreign Ministry, where the French Foreign Minister, in fact, Jean-Noël Barrot is speaking. Let's hear what he has to say.
Dragged into a dangerous military escalation. Let's be clear, the Iranian regime is partly responsible or even largely responsible for this situation because they have been so guiltily obstinate in seeking to obtain the means for threatening and destabilizing the region through its nuclear program, through its ballistic missile program, by its constant support to terrorist groups, also by its refusal to enter into good faith negotiations with Europe and then the United States, and also through the bloody oppression of the legitimate aspirations of the Iranian people. For decades, this regime has been violating international law. It has been ignoring the rules of the UN Security Council with regard to human rights, which it has been violating, and turning its weapons on its own people. It is deeply regrettable that this situation has not been resolved within the framework of international institutions, which is the only way that we can have lasting and just peace. The members of the Security Council of the UN have paralyzed the response with the respect of international law. Israel and the United States have conducted strikes which should have been debated in these international instances before they were carried out. The Security Council could have given its legitimacy, lent its legitimacy to these strikes, but that was not the case. The indiscriminate use of force by Iran is a strategy that they have been following for a long time, which is sowing terror and chaos in the region. Yesterday, we were hit by drones at our air base in Abu Dhabi with only limited material damages, fortunately. This night in Cyprus, a drone crashed on a British military base in Cyprus. To friendly countries that have been struck by missiles launched by the Revolutionary Guard, they are dragged into this war that they did not ask for. Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Iraq, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Jordan. France expresses its full support and complete solidarity with these countries. We stand ready, according to the agreements that we have with these countries and with regard to international law and the right to self-defense, to participate in the defense of these countries. In Lebanon, Hezbollah has committed a grave error, and now we see dozens of deaths and displaced persons in South Lebanon because Hezbollah has agreed to join in this fight that the Lebanese people reject. Lebanon must be saved from this regional escalation. France will remain engaged for the sovereignty and the security of the state of Lebanon, and we will be organizing a conference with them to talk about armed forces in the region. In this degraded condition, we are especially concerned about French citizens abroad. We are fully mobilized in this regard, in particular at the Ministry of Europe and Foreign Affairs. I would like to thank everyone in the ministry for their commitment. In all of the countries of the region, about 400,000 French citizens are in the dozen countries that are concerned in this situation. They're either residing there or passing through. We do not believe that any French citizens have been victims of the conflict. 15 diplomatic stations, embassies, and consulates are fully mobilized to ensure the security of French citizens and to offer assistance if necessary. In support of their action, the Crisis Center has been opened up by the ministry with a hotline that one can reach 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have already received and processed more than 5,000 calls on this hotline. We're also organized locally to assist people in leaving the region when possible. We would like to advise that all French citizens in the area consult our website and check daily for updates. You should also sign up to the Fil Ariane, which is a mechanism that enables you to be informed and us to know where you are. In case of an emergency, contact the numbers of our embassies and consulates or the Crisis and Support Center, which is on the screen here and which has been largely published on social media and French media. I know that everyone in these countries is very worried. I know that their families are worried about them. They're waiting for them to come home. With Eleonore Carrois and all of the different ministers of foreign affairs throughout Europe, we are ready to deploy all of our efforts to help these people get back home. We firmly are in favor of de-escalation. We do not want to see Iran and the rest of the region enter into a long period of instability with an uncertain outcome that would have an impact on all of our interests in the area. This is why the military actions must stop immediately. The Iranian regime, which has lost its supreme guide, must stop these attacks. It must make major concessions, and it must assume a different position, a radically different position, so that political solutions can be found, making it possible for Iran to exist peacefully in coexistence with its neighboring countries and the international community. We must also take into account the aspirations of the Iranian people to choose their own destiny, to benefit from their rights and build their future freely. History teaches us a lot, in particular in this region. Security and stability in the long term cannot be built outside the boundaries of justice and law. France and Europe are ready to play a significant role in achieving this. And this is why France, for the last 48 hours, has been speaking through the President of the République and in the UN Security Council meeting and at the G7 and in the European Union meetings. I would like to thank you, and I am available for questions.
Bonjour, Dalal Mawad.
Hello, Dalal Mawad from Al-Arabi TV. You have been criticized for not clearly and directly condemning the American-Israeli attack against Iran. And you said yesterday, with the UK and Germany, that you were ready to work with the US with regard to attacks against Iranian military installations. Does that mean that you believe these attacks were justified? And are you ready to join into these attacks when you said you would take defensive measures to protect the interests of France and your allies? As I have just said, and as the President of the Republic said, we were not informed before these attacks, and we did not participate in these attacks launched by Israel and the United States. And I have just said that it is only through the UN Security Council that any such military operations could have been given legitimacy. Our partners in the region were targeted deliberately by the Iranian regime, and we are thus ready to participate in their defense if they so request in a proportionate manner and in accord with the principles of collective legitimate self-defense, as defined by the UN. France Télévisions, airspace is closed for now, but do you think there will be planes flying in to help French citizens leave the region? We are prepared for any eventualities depending on the evolution of the situation. I just participated in a meeting with all of the different state services. This is airspace. Not all the airspaces are closed. Lebanon is open. Jordan, Egypt, and Oman, and then Saudi Arabia in particular, have open airspace still.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Ministre. Hermine Lecache pour RTL.
Hermine Lecache, RTL. Which is the country you are most concerned about with regard to evacuation of French citizens, and what means have been set up for their evacuation? Should people be staying at home? Should people be grouping together? Should they come to the embassy? And will there be any response to the Iranians who have shot at these French bases? Thank you for this question. We are working actively to help our French citizens come home, especially those who are just traveling in the region. There are two countries in particular where the French community is significant, and so there are a lot of travelers there as well. First of all, Israel, where last year, during the 12th-day war, we set up an exceptional system, which is ready to be put into effect again to bring people home. And the other country is the UAE, where there are 60,000 French people living today, as well as many French people who are there traveling on holiday. So a lot of our efforts are focused on how we can facilitate their exit when the time comes. You've asked me about the French base in the UAE. An airplane hangar was hit. And as I have said, it will depend on what an individual country would ask of us, and then with all due proportion, we could participate in the defense of these countries.